exams, the first thing you have to do is read the instructions on that question papers because different subjects have different kind of information instructions for you. Okay, so let's have a look what you will able to see in the question paper of science 1. So these are the instructions in the last paper discussion we have already gone through. So just to remind you about that. So now we are going to start with the paper discussion one by one. So as we know, the first question, it is of MCQ question. And you can see the question is the frequency of AC is dash 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 hertz. So alternating current, and it has a frequency of 50 hertz in India. We know that, and that is the answer for this question. So option B is the correct answer. Now the next question, the melting point of pure ethanoic acid is. So they have given you the options 17 degree, 19 degree, 15 degrees Celsius, and 27 degrees Celsius. So correct option is 17 degrees Celsius. So these are the straightforward questions. Now the next is the formula for escape velocity is. Now you can see the options A, B, C, D, and among them the formula for the escape velocity is option B, that is the square root of 2 capital G capital M upon R. Here G, capital G stands for the gravitational constant, capital M is the mass of that planet, and even R is a capital R stands for the radius of that planet. Okay, so option B is the correct answer. And the next question is for a particular value of I, the value of R become equal to 90 degree. Now from this statement, you have to recognize that this question is from the total internal reflection. And this value of I is called, so the options are critical angle, angle of deviation, angle of refraction, and angle of emergence. So correct answer is the critical angle. Now let's have a look at the last MCQ question. That's the fifth one. Calcium carbonate is heated. The reaction is dash dash reaction. So obviously, whenever we heat the calcium carbonate, the reaction will start carried out. Okay, because of the heat only, this reaction will be carried out, and you are going to get the two different substances from the calcium carbonate. That is the calcium oxide and the carbon dioxide will be released into the air. And that is called as a decomposition reaction. That means one reactant will give you the two products after carried out that reaction. So this is the decomposition reaction. That is the first option A. Okay. So now moving on the next topic, find the odd one out. Joule, erg, calorie, Newton. So we have to find out the odd term. Now you can see here the joule, erg, calorie, and Newton. Among these, joule, erg, and calorie, those are the units for the heat, and Newton is the unit for the force. So you can see odd term is the Newton. You do not write the reason why the odd term is that. Okay. So complete the correlation. The next question is the complete the correlation. First artificial satellite, it's Sputnik. First Indian satellite. And you have to just write down the answer for that Indian satellite. And as you know that the answer is the Aryabhatta. So in this way, the second question you have to write down. In the next, match the pair. It gives you the two groups A and B. In first group, it says Eka silicon. Okay. So, and in group B, they have given you the options like scandium, gallium, and germanium. Now, from this, you come to know that these are related to the Mendeleev's periodic table. And Mendeleev have identified that means he predicted some elements. Okay, but he cannot give the name to that element. So he have given the names like Eka boron, Eka aluminum, Eka silicon. And from that, the Eka silicon is after his prediction in the future, when it was discovered, it was named as a germanium. So remember this, the Eka boron, Eka aluminum, and the Eka silicon. For the Eka aluminum, it is the gallium, Eka boron, Eka scandium. So remember this, but remember that you do not supposed to write down. That means you are not supposed to show the arrow after drawing the table. So in this way, you can see here group A, group B, Eka silicon, germanium. That in this way you have to write down the answer in your answer sheet. Okay, do not make such kind of errors. Okay, now just moving on the next question, state true or false. Aqua regia is a mixture of concentrated HCl, that means hydrochloric acid, and concentrated HNO3, that is the uh, this one is the nitric acid in the ratio of 1:3. Now, as we know that aqua regia, it is the very strong solution. That means it's a strongly acidic one. Even the gold will react or corrode due to that. Okay, but here the only thing is the ratio. The ratio is different. It is not 1:3. It should be the 3:1. Okay, and that is why this is the false statement. You have to just write down the true or false. Here the answer is the false. And the last one is draw the structure of benzene. So we know that benzene is in our syllabus also. That means in the textbook also, the benzene is the different structure they have given. They have specially mentioned about that. So we need to prepare for this also. So benzene C6H6 and its structural formula is look like this. So here you can see that a ring of 6 carbon atoms. Okay, and they are bonded with each other by alternate single bond as well as the double bond. And the remaining valency, that means one remaining bond, is with the hydrogen atom. So in this way, the C6, 6 carbons and 6 hydrogens are combined in the benzene ring. Okay, so this is the structure of benzene. Now, moving on the next question, the second question, A, it is for the Q scientific reason. This question carries 4 marks, 3 questions, and out of those 3 questions, you have to solve any 2 questions. So first is the pine oil is used in the froth flotation. Now, froth flotation method, we know where it is used. So let's see the answer. Concentration of an ore by froth flotation method is used for those minerals which are weighted by the oil. Yes, that is the fact. Okay, that is why we use the froth flotation method. The particles of metal sulfides, this is for example, the particles of the metal sulfides, due to their hydrophobic property, get weighted by the mainly with the oil. So hydrophobic means they are not going to weighted by the water. Okay, but definitely they will be weighted by the oil. So pine oil is a hydrophobic and it can get the sulfide particles. It can weight the sulfide particles. It helps in formation of a froth when it mixed with the water and air bubble together. We know that agitator is used for that thing. The air pressure goes through that and agitator will revolve and the froth is formed due to that. Now, due to this, the mineral particles get floated with the froth and gangue particles, which are hydrophilic, were weighted by the water and settle down. Okay, so in this way, the pine oil is used in the froth flotation. That is why they use the pine oil is used. Now, moving on the next question. The weight of an object varies on different planet. Now, as we know that weight is a different thing and the mass is the different thing. So let's see the first point. The weight of an object is the force with which planet attract that object. Okay, so in particular, in case of Earth, we call it as a gravitational force, Earth's gravitational force. So that is the force we are talking about when we talk about the weight. The gravitational force, that means weight, its formula is m into g, that is the mass into gravitational acceleration. Now, for the given body, mass is m, it is constant, but g, that means gravitational acceleration, is varies. It varies with the planet to planet as well as in case of Earth, it varies on the place to place as well. We know that on equator and pole region, it is different. Then we have to write down, as we know that the g, the gravitational acceleration, it is equal to capital G, capital M upon r square. That means it is depends upon mass of the planet. You can see capital M is the mass of the planet and the radius of the planet. So R, capital R is the radius of the planet. So that is why it is different. If the mass is different, that means planet is different or the uh, place is the different, it will be impact the value of G. So different planets have different masses and radii such that the ratio m upon r square is not the same. Hence, the weight of an object varies on different planets. Okay, so that is the reason. Now, on the next question, stars twinkle at night. So again, this question comes from the chapter number 6, the small chapter. Okay, now here we have to see the points. The stars are self-luminous and can be seen at night in the absence of sunlight. They appear to be a point source because of their being at a very large distance from us. Okay, so this is the one of the important reason. It is the point source. As the density of the air decreases with lowering height above the surface of the earth, the refractive index also increases. Yes. So as the density is increases, the refractive index is also increases. We are talking about the optical density as well. Okay. And the next one is the starlight coming toward us travel from rarer medium to the denser medium and constantly bends toward the normal. As we know that light, whenever light passes from a rarer medium to the denser medium, it refracts. Okay. The motion of atmospheric air and changing air density and temperature, the refractive index of air keeps changing continuously. And as the refractive index is changing continuously, because of this change, the position and brightness of the star keeps changing continuously. And that is why we can see that stars appears to be twinkling. Now, in this question, they have not asked anything about the planets. That is why we are not going to mention anything why they are not twinkling and all. Okay, so take care of this thing. Unnecessarily do not write down those points. It is only related to the stars. So write down the points related to the twinkling of the star. Okay, now moving on to the next question. That is the question 2B. It has 5 questions, but out of those 5 questions, you have to just attempt 3 questions. And the marks for that 3 questions is the 6. That means each question carries 2 marks. Now, write the names from the description. So this is the direct question. You can guess that this question comes from the second chapter. Okay. The group with valency 0. So the group is 18. Okay. The name of that group, we call it as a noble or inert gases group or zero group. Okay. So you can mention any one of the name. Okay. Next question. The family of non-metal having valency 1. So here we want to know the family of non-metals. Remember, the word is non-metal. So it is the group 17. It is the halogens. That means we are talking about fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, like these kind of elements. Okay, they have the valency 1. Then next question, the family of metals having valency 1. So we have to see the metals. Okay, so metals are toward the left of the periodic table and the first group represent that. So that group names as an alkali metals. Okay, and the last one is the family of metals having valency 2. So the next one, that means the second group, it called as an alkaline earth metals. So in this way, the short answers will be there and each question, each answer will carry the half mark and you will get the 2 marks out in this question. Then on the next question, you can see there is a diagram. It shows a right hand and the thumb, index finger and the middle finger is shown. Rest 2 fingers are curved. So obviously you come to know that this is the Fleming's right hand and this diagram shows Fleming's right hand rule. Okay, and they have given the thumb shows the motion of a conductor and they have asked about A and B. That means what is indicated by the index finger and what is indicated by the middle finger. So all these 3 fingers are perpendicular to each other. So middle finger shows the direction of magnetic field and the middle finger shows, index finger shows the direction of magnetic field and middle finger shows direction of induced current. Okay, and that carries 1 mark. Okay, each of them, A and B. So please remember to mention the word induced current while write down the answer for the B. It's a direction of induced current. It is not the only current. Okay, so because it's specifically used for the when the current is induced into the conductor. Okay, now moving on to the next question. It asks to draw a neat and well-labeled diagram for hydraulic separation method. So this is the diagram. Most of the time, board will ask only those diagrams which has good labeling. Okay, so I will request you all students to please prepare those diagrams which has at minimum 3 to 4 levels into that diagram. So don't skip that while studying. Okay, so you can see the labeling. It's a water powder ore is poured from the upward. Okay, that means from the top. Then the ore suspension, gang. These are things. Okay, so water, pressurized water is goes to that. So and the concentrated ore can be collected at the bottom because the light particle of the gang will be collected at the from the top like this. So this is the hydraulic separation method. Okay, moving to the next. Distinguish between far-sightedness and nearsightedness. Okay, so these are the points for the nearsightedness and the far-sightedness. So in nearsightedness, in this case, the eye can see nearby objects clearly, but the distant object appear indistinct. In farsightedness, in this defect, the human eye can see distant object clearly, but cannot see nearby objects distinctly. Next point is the far point of the eye is not infinity, but shift closer to the eye. And the near point of the eye is no longer at 25 centimeter, but it shifts farther away. This happens into the farsightedness. The image of the distant object form in front of the retina and the image of nearby objects get formed behind the retina. So that is the difference. The curvature of the cornea and the eye lenses increases or the muscles near the lens cannot relax so that converging power of the lens remains large. Okay, and in farsightedness, the curvature of cornea and eye lens decreases so that the converging power of lens become less. Okay, so in this way, you can write down the differences. The eyeball elongates so that the distance between the lens and the retina increases. These are the different reasons, okay, for the nearsightedness and the farsightedness. Due to the flattening of the eyeball, the distance between the lens and the retina decreases. This is the reason, okay. Now, how to correct these? That will be the next point. This defect can be corrected by using spectacles with the concave lens of proper focal length. And for farsightedness, this can be corrected by using a convex lens with proper focal length. Okay. Then you can see that the lens with the negative power is required for correcting nearsightedness, and the lens with the positive power is required for correcting the farsightedness. And this is also called as a myopia, and this is called as a hypermetropia. So you can write any 4 points while writing down the answer for this question. Okay, each point carries half mark, so you have to at least write down the 4 points to get the complete 2 marks in this question. Now, the next question, question number 5, it's a study of following. They have shown you one chemical reaction. That's a partial part. Okay, there is a carbon-carbon double bond and remaining 2 bonds are there. And hydrogen gas is react into that in presence of catalyst, platinum or nickel. And it shows that the carbon-carbon single bond present. One bond is break here and it is bonded with the hydrogen. Now you have to identify and name the type of the given reaction of a carbon compound. So identify, the first thing is this is the addition reaction, and it is always recommended to write down what do you mean by the addition reaction in case of the carbon compounds. So when a carbon compound combines with another compound to form a product that contain all the atoms in both the reactants, it is called an addition reaction. Okay, so this is how you are going to write down. Okay, this is supposed to the correct answer. Okay, then in which process this reaction carried out? So This reaction is carried out for hydrogenation of vegetable oil. That is, the Vanaspati ghee is obtained from vegetable oil in presence of the nickel or platinum catalyst. Even in chapter the third chapter, you can see that the temperature also mentioned there as in 60 degrees Celsius. So you can also mention about that chemical reaction here if you want. Okay. Now the next question, that is the question number 3. Answer the following. Now this question is of 8 different questions which carries 3 marks of each question, and out of those 8 questions, any 5 questions you have to solve. And as expected, the first question is the place for the numerical. So you can see the numerical. A copper sphere of 100 gram mass is heated to raise its temperature to 100 degrees Celsius and is released in water of mass 195 gram and temperature 20 degrees Celsius in copper calorimeter. If the mass of the calorimeter is 50 gram, what will be the maximum temperature of water? Now, in this, we can see that some data is given to us for like specific heat of copper, specific heat of calorimeter, specific heat of water. Okay. Now, we have to find the data correctly. Now, for example, what is the initial temperature of copper sphere? It is 100 degrees Celsius. How? Because they have given us the information that this sphere is heated and its temperature is raised to the 100 degrees Celsius. Okay. And then it is released. It is released into the water of mass 195 gram. So here mass of water, we are going to take 195 gram, as well as they have given the mass of the calorimeter as a 50 gram. So we are going to use that information here. Initial temperature of water and calorimeter is 20 degrees Celsius. It is given. And final temperature, we are going to consider it as a T degrees Celsius. So we know that a hot copper sphere is dropped into the water. So obviously, the temperature of water and the calorimeter is supposed to increase and temperature of a copper sphere is supposed to decrease. That is why we are going to write the next equation, like formula. We know the principle: heat lost by the solid object is equal to heat gained by water in calorimeter and heat gained by the calorimeter. So whatever heat is lost by the copper sphere, it will be gained by the water as well as the calorimeter. So let's see now how to calculate the heat lost by the copper ball. Yes. So how much heat the copper ball is going to lose? So that can be calculated as a mc delta T. You can see that m is stand for the mass of the copper, C is for the specific heat of the copper, and delta T, that means the change in temperature of the copper ball. So we know that the temperature is going to change. Initial it was 100 and final it is going to decrease. So we're going to write down it's 100 minus T. So you can see here the heat lost by the copper ball, it is equal to mass of the copper ball 100 into specific heat is 0.1 into 10 into 100 minus T. That is the decrease in temperature of the copper ball. Okay, so in this way, again, we can calculate heat gained by the water. How much heat will be gained by that water? We know that the mass of the water is 195 gram. What specific heat of the water is 1, and increase in temperature. Now the final temperature is definitely more than the 20 degree. So the final temperature is more and we want to calculate the difference. So increase in temperature is T minus 20. So remember to write down like T minus 20. Then next, the heat gained by the calorimeter. So this can be again calculated by mc delta T. M is the mass of the calorimeter, C is the specific heat, and increase in temperature, that is a delta T. Okay, so Q2 is equal to 50 mass of the calorimeter, 0.1 is the specific heat, and T minus 20, okay, is the increase in the temperature. Again, the temperature of calorimeter is supposed to increase at the end of this experiment. Okay, so we can see Q, that means the heat lost by the copper ball is equal to heat gained by the water and heat gained by the calorimeter. So we have to calculate like this, and after that, finally, we are going to get the answer. Temperature is equal to 23.8 degrees Celsius. So you have to write down the answer statement. The maximum temperature of the water will be 23.8 degrees Celsius after that experiment. Okay, so that is all about the question number 3.1. Now moving on the next question. A diagram is shown there, and the question states that state the laws related to the given diagram. So very brief question is there. So you have to identify this diagram is from the first chapter and it is related to the Kepler's law. So once you identified, you can write down the Kepler's law. So Kepler's first law: the orbit of a planet in an ellipse with sun at one of the foci. So these are the laws. You have to remember those laws and try to write them as it is in the textbook. Okay. So Kepler's second law: the line joining the planet and the sun sweeps equal areas in equal interval of time. So that is the second law. And third law is the square of its period of revolution around the sun is directly proportional to the cube of the mean distance of the planet from the sun. So here you can see that if r is the average distance of the planet from the sun and t is the period of revolution, then t square is directly proportional to r cube. That means t square upon r cube is constant k. Okay, so this expression also you can mention after writing the Kepler's third law. Each law carries 1 mark. Okay, so this is a quite a straightforward question. You have to remember these 3 laws anyhow. Okay, so now moving on the next question. In this question, they have given you XY compound formed by X atomic number 11 and Y atomic number 17. Then answer the questions below. Determine the position of the element, group, and period X and Y in the modern periodic table. So here we can see that X has an atomic number 11 and Y is the 17. From that, we have to identify atomic number 11 means its electronic configuration is 281 and atomic number is 17 for Y. That means its electronic configuration will be 287. From this information, we can say that the element X is in the first group of third period and element Y into the 17th group of third period. So in this way, you can write down the answer. The next question is, from which block the element X and Y are? So as we see, the X is into the first group, so it is from the S block, and Y is from the 17th group. That means the toward the right side of that periodic table. So that stands for the P block. So you can see the answer: X block, X element from the block S and Y element from the block P. Then next, determine the electronic configuration and valency of these elements. So we know that the electronic configuration of X and Y, just we have discussed it. So you can see the answer here: X and Y with the electronic configuration 281 and 287. The valency of the X is 1. I'm sorry, this should be the valency of the Y is again 1 only. This is the valence electron. This need to be rectified here. So remember this, the valency will be the 1 here. Now, next question. Draw a neat level diagram of electrolytic reduction of alumina. Also write the reaction at anode and cathode. So again, this is the diagram you have to draw. This diagram has it is a well-labeled diagram. So obviously this may be asked by the board, or sometimes they just give you the diagram and ask you to write down the label the diagram. Okay, so this is the diagram from your textbook. You can see. Okay, and now we are going to see what are the reactions at anode as well as cathode. So for anode, the electrode reaction are as shown below. First is for anode reaction. You can see that the oxygen gas is liberated at anode. So the reaction will be 2O2 with the minus charge, and that will give you the O2 plus 4 electrons. Okay, the electrons, this is the negative charge. Cathode reaction, Al3 plus, okay, and plus 3 electrons is there, and that will give you the aluminium. Okay, so again, this is the reduction reaction. At the cathode, the aluminium is deposited on the cathode itself. Okay, so in this way, you have to write down the chemical reactions. Then in the next question, they ask you, they have given you one chemical reaction, that potassium chromate K2CrO4 solution added to the barium sulfate BaSO4 solution. And they ask you, write down the balance equation for this reaction. So balance equation will be like these two are added, these two reactants. So you can see the balance equation K2CrO4, that is the potassium chromate added to the barium sulfate. It will give you the barium chromate and the potassium sulfate. The arrow downward shows that it is the precipitation, okay, and it is the barium chromate. So identify the type of chemical reaction. As we know that in this reaction, the displacement has been occurred, but at the two reactants. So this is called as a double displacement reaction. In this reaction, this is the type of the chemical reaction, double displacement reaction. So remember, whenever they ask you to identify a type of chemical reactions, at that time, just identify from the first four type of the reactions. Okay. So like combination, decomposition, displacement, and double displacement reaction. Among these four, you have to identify. Then third question, write the name of the precipitate and color of the precipitate form. So name of the precipitate is the barium chromate and its color is the yellow. So yellow precipitate of barium chromate is formed. You can see into this. Okay. Then next question, define the absolute refractive index. And what is the refractive index of diamond? If speed of light is 3.3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second, what will be the speed of light in diamond? So the first is the definition. So absolute refractive index is nothing but the refractive index of a medium with respect to vacuum. It is called as an absolute refractive index of that medium. Okay. Then refractive index of diamond is 2.42. Yes, you have to remember some of the refractive indices of the substances. It is given in the book like water, ice, ruby, and the diamond. These are the most important because board may ask you direct values of those substances. Okay. Then next one, that third question of that, that means we have to also calculate the speed of the light in the diamond. So obviously for speed of the light, the speed of the light is given into the vacuum. We know that it's a 3 into 10 raised to 8. We have to find the speed of light into diamond, and the formula is here. Refractive index of diamond is nothing but the speed of light in vacuum upon speed of light in diamond. So speed of light in diamond will become like this. And the final answer will be the 1.24 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second. So speed of the light into the diamond is decreases that much. Okay. So in this way, you have to write down the answer for this one. Okay. Now the next question, explain satellite launch vehicle made of more than one stage. So let's see the answer. The functioning of a satellite launch vehicle is based on Newton's third law of motion. Okay, so basically, as we know that Newton's third law of motion, it says that every action has equal and opposite reaction and it acts simultaneously. So the mechanism of the satellite launching is well known to us. The launch vehicle uses specific type of fuel. The gas produced due to the combustion of that fuel expands due to its high temperature and it expels forcefully through the nozzle at rear side of the launch vehicle. And after that, the launch vehicle will start moving upward. Now, as a reaction of this, thrust action on the vehicle, which drive the vehicle high into the space. Okay. Now, this is the mechanism how we launch the satellite using the launch vehicles. Okay. The structure of launch vehicle is decided by the weight of the satellite and the type of the satellite orbit. Yes, obviously. So what is the weight of the satellite? Depending upon that, we have to structure the launch vehicle as well as the distance at which the satellite is going to orbit. So that distance is also taken into the consideration while structuring the launch vehicle. The fuel of the vehicle also depend upon these factors. Yes, if you want heavy satellite to launch in a larger orbit, then you need more fuel. Now, here it is a concern. The fuel forms a major portion of total weight of a launch vehicle. Thus, the vehicle has to carry a large weight of a fuel with it. So that is the that is the most disadvantage you can see here. Now, to overcome this problem, launch vehicles with more than one stage is used, and due to this, the weight of the vehicle can be reduced step by step after its launching. Okay, so that is how they that is how they overcome the problem. Okay, and after certain stage, each part is get detached from the satellite. That means satellite launch vehicle. Okay, and the satellite can be placed into the desired orbit. Okay, next, complete the table. So they have given you one table, and each correct answer carries 1 mark. So they have given the common names, structural formula, and IUPAC name. So in first row, they asked to write down the IUPAC name for acetylene, and the structural formula for the acetylene is given like this. So IUPAC name, as you can see that there are two carbons, so it is from the uh, carbon family. That means two carbons means it is from parent name will be the ethane, but as there is a triple bond, it is from the alkyne, so it is the ethyne. Okay, so in this way you can identify the IUPAC name as an ethyne. Now in the second thing, they second row, they have given you the structural formula of propanone, and the common name for the propanone is the acetone. Okay, so this is the acetone group, acetone formula for the acetone, that is the common name. And in third row, they have given you the acetaldehyde. Okay, so acetaldehyde, in again acetaldehyde, there are the two carbons, but they are connected with the functional group of aldehyde, and that is why the IUPAC name will become again ethanol. Okay, that is the IUPAC name for the acetaldehyde. Now, moving on the next question, that is the question number 4. Draw a scientifically correct labeled diagram of a human eye and answer the question based on it. Again, this is the well-labeled diagram given in your textbook. So practice for this diagram. This diagram comes for the 2 marks. Sometimes they give you the diagram, but you have to label it. Without labeling, they will give you, and you have to label it. So this is the diagram from your textbook. Okay, so at least 5 to 6 labels you are supposed to give to this diagram, so that you can get all 2 marks for this diagram. Okay, so practice for this diagram. Now let's see the questions for that. Name the type of lens in human eye. So what is the lens, which is the lens which we use in that means there is in the human eye? So it is a double convex transparent crystalline lens. Okay, so if somebody write down convex lens, that is also fine, but this is the complete answer. A double convex transparent crystalline lens that is used into the human eye. Okay, now the next question, name the screen at which the maximum amount of incident light is refracted. So yes, it is the outer screen. So the light, maximum amount of incident light is refracted inside the eye is by the outer surface of the cornea. So cornea, again, it is the transparent part of the human eye. It is the bulgy one, and that helps to refract maximum light into the inside of the eye. Okay, so that is the answer. And last one is the state the nature of image formed by the object on the screen inside the eye. Yes, so we get the all the images by the convex lens are mostly real and inverted images. Only in case of the object is placed between focal length and the optical center. So here we can get for our eye, in that case, we will get the real and inverted image of the object on screen inside the eye. That is the real and inverted image. Okay, it is the diminished one. Okay, and then the signal that after that image on the retina will send the signals to the brain will process that, and then we can see the objects clearly. Okay, So we are moving on the last question of this question paper, that observe the following figure and write the answer of the question. So after just looking at this diagram, we can understand that they are showing something, that is the rusting of an iron. So let's see the first question. Which process is shown in the figure? Yes, obvious. It is the rusting of iron. Then write the chemical formula of the rust. So this is the general chemical formula for the rust, that is Fe2O3 dot XH2O. Also remember, instead of X, if you write down N, that is also fine, because it is the just number of water molecules present into that rust molecule. Okay, so don't worry about that. Then go for the next question. Write the reaction of oxidation of iron at anode. So you have to write down what happens into the iron anode. Okay, so here you can see that you have to identify which is the cathode part and which is the anode part. So from that you have to write down the answer. So here Fe is oxidized to Fe2 plus in anode region. So you can see the reaction, Fe will become Fe2 plus 2 electrons. That means 2 electrons are released. Okay, so here removal of electron is nothing but the oxidation. So this is the oxidation of iron at anode. Okay, so remember in this way, at anode it is oxidation, as it is releasing 2 electrons. Okay, Fe is releasing the 2 electrons. Then the reaction of oxidation of iron at cathode. Now at cathode, the oxygen is reduced actually to form the water in the cathode region. So oxygen plus 4 hydrogen. You can see that 4 hydrogen are getting added with the oxygen. So this is the, we can say that, reduction reaction, as well as the 4 electrons. So 2H2 is the molecule. So in this way, you can write down the reactions of this thing. Name any 2 methods of prevention of corrosion. So corrosion can be prevented by many different methods. Out of these methods, you can write down any 2 methods. Okay, you have to just write down the name of those methods. So for example, galvanizing. Okay, then tinning. In galvanizing we put the zinc layer. In tinning we put the tin layer, molten tin layer. Okay, then anodization. In anodization we put the articles at the anode, and after that we carried out the systematic oxidization of that surface. That is the anodization, mainly in case of the aluminium. Then the electroplating, put a layer on a surface of more reactive substance. Okay, in the electroplating. Then in the 5th place, there is alloying. Alloying is nothing but the homogeneous mixture of the 2 or more than 2 metals to form the alloy. Okay, and the last one, we can see that by applying a layer of paint, oil, grease, or varnish on the metal surface. That is also one of the method prevention of the corrosion, but that is the temporary solution. Okay, as compared to the first 5. Okay, so these are the methods you can write about prevention of corrosion. Okay, so each method, if you write any 2 methods, it will carry half mark each method, and you will get the 1 full mark out of this. So in this way, we are supposed to write down the answers in your answer sheet for this prelim. So I hope you have already got many correct answers, almost all correct answers, because now this is the 3rd prelim, and it is expected that your study is almost at it's at the peak. So you will get maximum marks, and wish you all the best for your future exams and the board exams as well. Okay, thank you very much.